Hello, welcome back to Raising Arrows Mama. My name is Heather, Mama to 8, from infant all the way to 15. And today I'm going to do a quick review of a grammar resource that has helped us this past year. Now, as I said, I am Mama to 8. And we primarily use a Charlotte Mason model, and I love it. I absolutely love it. We have taught grammar the last few years using Charlotte Mason curriculum resources. It has been wonderful, but I just really struggle to make the time for it with having 5 learners and the 3 younger ones, plus difficult other things going on. I needed some way to outsource it without outsourcing it because I couldn't afford for a tutor just for grammar. And I stumbled across a workbook resource, and I know most Charlotte Mason mamas are very much against the workbooks. But as my husband said, we need to find what works best for our family. And so for us, we have found from the Critical Thinking Co. Editor-in-Chief program. And this has been so helpful for me because the children can do it mostly independently. Now, my oldest, she's in high school. She does grammar separate, and it is different. But for my middle schoolers, because they were way behind, because we were just not having the time to be able to do all the things that with Mama hands-on. And so my rising 7th, 8th graders have been doing this, which I know it's for grades 2 to 3, right? But I had them start through this, and they're just going through it quickly. And then my rising 5th grader has been going through it, and we just started at the beginning. We're almost finished with this first book, and so I went ahead and purchased the second book in the series because we are loving it and it is working well. Now, with our Charlotte Mason method, my kids are reading a lot of whole books, words in front of their face, also listening to audiobooks and other things. So they're getting a lot of grammar through that. And I know some people will debate that, but they really are. But there were some nuances that we were missing, and this has been so helpful. So I'm going to show you. So it comes in these, and you could just give your child the workbook. But like I said, big family. So we made sure we got some that were reproducible that I could use. And mine are torn out because I just tear them out and run them through the copier. And I do a certain amount of lessons, and they go through them at their own pace, and they aim for 1 a week for my younger kids and 2 a week for my older. And it just kind of depends on the child how fast they go through this. But you'll see here with lesson 1, you start with capitalization, and they basically have a lesson. Now, the first couple lessons, I did sit down and do it with them so that way they knew what was expected of them. But it walks you through a list of rules with some examples. And then and capitalization obviously doesn't have a lot, right? And then they start putting it to practice. And so you have these worksheets, and they have these little paragraphs, and they're supposed to find the corrections in them, and it tells them how many corrections they need to do. And so obviously the capitalization one was pretty easy, right? So let's move to a harder one. I'll go a little bit further in. Whoops, that's a little too far in. And the other thing I love about this is that the numbering on them doesn't like restart with each unit. After every lesson, it's just keeps going. So when you check the answers in the back, it's very easy to find. So here, they had a mini review, and they do that about every 2 to 3 chapters. They'll have a review, and it will review everything from the whole thing. And so you can see they did lessons 1 and 2. They worked on capitalization, and then they worked on ending punctuation. And so they have comma, period, and question mark. So they have to go through and find those. You could easily use these as a quiz or a test if you need to mark grades or something like that. And they're very easy for the children to find. And this checklist helps them kind of know, okay, I found them all. You could definitely cover it if for some reason you wanted to challenge and they have to find it without that. But honestly, this really helps my children to go through the process. So then here's the third lesson. You have articles a and an. And this one was one that like my kids know, but they didn't know when to apply it in their own writing. And this has changed a lot of their own writing by going through this. And so very short lesson. And then they have lots of practice, and their practice is all on a and an, right? There's no review in that section. But then when you go to the mini review, you have it again. And so we have loved this. They are, like I said, most of the way done for most of them. And we are, let's see here, sorry. So as I said, the numbering for the problems that they're doing just goes sequentially, which helps when you need to grade, because in the back, it will give you the corrected paragraph. And then it will also tell you which things were corrected, which is so, so helpful. And then you'll have your whole paragraph, just the things. So they have run-on sentences, finding run-on sentences. And that's why they do the review every 2 lessons, where you have all the things that were talked about in the last 2. And then about every 4 lessons, they have a review, which is, so there's the mini review every 2 lessons, and then the big review every 4 lessons that goes over all the concepts that you've talked about in the last section. And it goes on through that. And I will show you the table of contents here for book 1. So book 1, we're going to go through capitalization, punctuation, a and an and verb tenses, contractions, nouns, pronouns, singular, plural nouns, am, is, and are verbs, I and me, when to use that, subject, verb agreement. That one was actually really tricky for my kids to kind of grasp, but then working through the problems, in the individual problems, it made sense to them. Was and were, run-on sentences, sentence fragments, good and well, comparisons, and homophones. I think my kids have comparisons and homophones left in this book. And so this has been helpful because I can just hand it to them. It's something quick and easy they can do, and they feel very confident in it. And then I don't feel like I need to harp on it because I see it coming through in their written narrations. And so I don't stress about grammar anymore. It's something they're just going to keep doing. Usually in middle school, I have them switch on to, or I have my oldest switch on to our mother tongue, and it's working really well. And I'm not going to get into all that. But my middle schoolers are going to do book 2. And then, and it says grades 3 to 4. Like I said, these are suggestions. Do it where your kid is at. If your kid should be, it doesn't mean your kid should be there. That's just the typical, what the traditional school methods are. My kids aren't there because we were going slowly. And we did some different approaches, and I'm okay with that. But you can definitely make it work for whatever grade level you're at. And you can, I believe you can see the table of contents or what topics are covered on the Critical Thinking Co.'s website. And so you can see here, we're going to do the same thing in book 2. We're going to cover the same topics for the most part with a few differences. And so they're going to get the review of those different topics, but a little bit more in depth with capitalization, punctuation, spelling rules, a and the, and verb tenses, all the way down to adjectives and adverbs, which were not in the first one. And so the first few are going to be a review, and then you're going to get a few new things like contractions. Funny story, my 5-year-old has made her own contraction for am not. Most people say ain't. She says amped, and it is hilarious, and we're loving it. But anyways, so editor-in-chief has been a great way for us to get grammar in and to do it quickly and simply. And like I said, you can put as many lessons you want as a day as you want. I do 1 a week for my elementary school students, and I'm doing 2 a week for my middle school students, just because it's a little add in. The whole rationale behind editor-in-chief is that the child is editing in context. It's not a set of grammar rules that are outside and you're using these just random sentences. And so I did want to share that. You can look at their website on Critical Thinking Co. and get a little more information, but their whole point is editing in context. I'm just going to read you this a little bit. It says, the key difference between editor-in-chief and most other grammar books is the focus is on editing in context. The grammatical and mechanical errors inserted into the paragraphs are based on general instruction guidelines for specific grade levels. The content level, however, is ungraded, allowing usage of these materials at many instructional levels. And so just keep that in mind if this is a product that you're interested in, that it is not for one specific level, that you are teaching grammar sequentially, but not in a specific, they're not out of context. It's all in context. It's how they're going to use it. It's how they're going to experience it in life, in books, in writing. And so that's one of the things that we loved about it. That's my review for editor-in-chief, which is a great, for us, it's been a great fix for grammar. And yeah, so I look forward to using these books and possibly even continuing on. If you have a question about these or how we utilize them, please let me know. If there's something else you would like to see, let me know, and I'll try to pop it onto the website or onto Instagram so that you can see it in more depth. but this is wonderful. Like I said, go check out Critical Thinking Co. You can get them on Amazon, but I like going to their actual website to look at some of the details of their programs. And they have lots of other really great programs, I'm sure, if you're looking for it, but this has been a wonderful fit for us. So thank you for watching and have a blessed day.